Hi folks, Chuck here again with five more books that I absolutely love that I don't see talked about all that much online and that I think should get some more love, and hopefully you'll go out and seek them out and read them based on this video. Michael Crichton's Jurassic Park. Now I know what you're saying, we've all seen the movie. I think everyone in the world's probably seen the movie or one of the Jurassic Park movies. The original book is so much better than the movie. I love the movie. It's quite a different animal in some ways than the book. For a start, the book is very horror heavy. It starts so much darker than the movie does. Even keeping in mind that opening scene in the movie where the worker gets eaten. Trust me, what happens in the opening scene to the novel is worse. It's far nastier. And there's a lot of, again, really horrific stuff, atmospheric stuff, what have you, that happens through here. To me, it reads more like a horror novel. There's also a lot of stuff that was excised necessarily from the movie. One of which was hinted at in the movie, but is actually a massive subplot in the book, and it's actually the main reason that leads to the dinosaurs being able to run amok. So, if you haven't read this, and you liked the movies, I thoroughly recommend you go pick up Michael Crichton's Jurassic Park. It is an absolute cracker and definitely something that will appeal to horror fans as much as science fiction fans. The Last Policeman by Ben H. Winters. I love this. It's the first in a trilogy. It's about the day after tomorrow. There's an asteroid on the way. It's going to wipe out all life on Earth. We're all doomed, and it's the story of a detective who decides to take on a murder case and investigate because it seems suspicious. Why is this, worthy of a novel? Well, because the world's going to shit. People are killing themselves in the streets. There are a dozen suicides, a week happening just outside the police station alone. People don't care anymore. Certainly most of the police don't care anymore. Why would you investigate anything if you're going to be dead in a couple of months' time? Go out and live your life. But there's enough to the case that intrigues the policeman, in that he really, really wants to do this. And to be honest, it's also a coping mechanism for him in a way that it maybe isn't for other people. This is an incredibly bleak trilogy. I'll say that right from the get-go. It does not shy away from the nasty stuff or the nastier sides of human nature and what have you. It's also a really good procedural, and there's a thread running through this that makes you wonder whether, in fact, certainly our protagonist, but other people might be able to dodge the oncoming, apocalypse. And that thread alone had me kind of hanging on the edge of my seat right through the trilogy when I last read it. Absolutely brilliant. If you love, post-apocalyptic or apocalyptic stuff, if you like end of the world stuff, if you like a good sort of science fictional, which it is, police procedural, I'd highly recommend it. Terrific. Great novel. John dies at the end. Possibly more people are aware of this, but again, I just don't see it discussed all that often. Attributed to David Wong, who is in fact David Parkman, who's now, I think now these are getting printed under his actual name. And this is fantastic. This is a horror, comedy, cosmic, science fiction, fantasy mashup that is absolutely amazing. There's a few books in the series. This first one is basically about David and John, not their real names apparently. It's who are best mates forever, would do anything for one another. They're not quite stoners, but it's got that kind of stoner vibe to it, their friendship. And into their social circle comes this new amazing drug called soy sauce, which lets you see through the veil of reality or what have you. And they start to realize that this drug might actually be alive and be connected to creatures from other universes and dimensions and what have you, and have really nasty intentions for humanity. And they decide they're going to, save the world kind of against their will, but that's the track they start going down. It's mind-bending. It really is bizarre. I defy anyone to kind of see what's coming from chapter to chapter, and I absolutely loved it. And as I say, I think there's maybe 4 or 5 books in the series now, all of which I've loved, but none have had quite the impact on me as this first one because I'd never read anything quite like it. There's also a film that was made of it, a very low budget one by Don Coscarelli, I think it was. Uh, Don Coscarelli, who did Phantasm, the Phantasm films, and Baba Hotep. And honestly, you couldn't ask for a better horror director to get the vibe of this. So I'd suggest again, if you want to get an idea, check it out. The book though goes into so much more detail. It's much funnier. It's weirder. Yes, definitely worth picking up. Great read. Conjuring the Witch by Jessica Leonard. I love a good kind of Blair Witch adjacent witch tale. That's the kind of witch that scares me. And this is a scary as hell book. And this is about a small kind of not quite rural, but slightly rural suburban community that as you read on starts to see. Look, it seems idyllic. It's very much not. There's involvement of what turns out to be a cult, and there's certainly cultish behaviour from the fairly religious community itself and the community leaders. There's legend of a witch in the woods that seems to start reaching out from their realm, if you like. It's very, very creepy. There's a lot to be said about religious indoctrination. There's a lot to be said about toxic masculinity. And I absolutely loved it. It's a cracking read. Quite a short read as well. But yeah, if you like tales about witches and you like that kind of really frightening Blair Witch vibe to your witch tales, this is a book for you. Into the Drowning Deep by Mira Grant, who also, this is a pen name for Shauna Maguire. As Shauna Maguire, she writes sort of paranormal fantasy books. As Mira Grant, she writes horror. She was responsible for the Feed books about a very different sort of zombie apocalypse, which I also absolutely love. There haven't been any more books in this series as far as I know. There's a prequel floating around on the internet, I think just as an online download, which I haven't read. But Into the Drowning Deep is basically her take on mermaids. There's a few sort of, mermaid horror books and movies floating around, and it usually involves someone who still looks basically human and acts basically human until, the jaws open and the teeth are seen or what have you. This is not that. As with a lot of Grant's work, there's some really interesting biological stuff happening beneath the surface, weird animals and weird sort of life cycles and things like that. But this is fast paced. It's really, really frightening. Think Aliens, the movie Aliens, mixed up with something like any kind of sea-based action flick, and you'll get a vague idea of what it's like. But yeah, highly recommend this. It's a great read. And that's our 5 books for this time around. What did you think? Have you read some of these? What did you think of them? Let me know. Do some of these sound like they're up your alley? Again, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think. And I hope that some of you will go out and look up and read these books and enjoy them. And if you do, please, again, drop a comment. Let me know about it.